This is Sue, and you're with Get Sold. Sometimes it's easier for me than finding words to just draw out what I'm thinking or feeling or try to convey. One of the things I've wanted to convey for a long time is some of the influences and effects and things that we as humans or souls in a body have to contend with. So I drew out some of those things that certainly not, I'm sure, include everything, but some of the basics, I would say, that we have to contend with. And in the second part, I'll go through these things, but I feel sometimes it's easier for me just to draw it out and then backtrack and explain the drawing, because it's hard for me to find words many times, even in the videos. Sometimes in the videos I'm more focused on, oh, is this right? Oh, is that right? And then I sometimes don't always get to the meat of the matter that I'd like to. So this is explaining us as a human. So this drawing is a basic person. I'm going to say it's me, and I'm drawing the human person on Earth. That's first. And the things you see around the human are what I'll explain. Right now I'm drawing the Earth plane, or the elements. Sorry, I'm on my bed as it comes to me. So I'm drawing out the different elements, and so that would be the earth element, and of course you see the little flowers coming out. So when we're on Earth, this is where our electrical current goes to. The elements play roles in our lives as well. For instance, water helps with emotion. Fire, when you're feeling listless, can help elevate your energy, and so on. But there's many, many things that they don't tell us about. We're born and we're basically on our own. So we're subject to finding our way through our own devices in the end. And what I'm drawing now is as the human, we have a body, and the body is its own miraculous machine that we have never really learned about truly. You know, we've learned how to medicate it, but we haven't really learned how to integrate. Well, we did in indigenous times, but so some of the things that we're subject to facing on this earth as we are a person, personality, human, is the ancestral lines, the things that our parents have brought to us as children, as beliefs, as thought processes, as energy, as DNA. And a lot of times our job is to help repair those ancestral lines. We don't know this unless you're a spiritual person or you're open to these concepts. You're not going to know that. So why do you do a certain thing a certain way? Well, because your mother, father did it, or because the DNA is this way or that way. But everything is within your grasp and your control to manipulate in a good way, using the resources, what's inside and what's outside. But we're never really taught about consciousness. We're not taught about the higher consciousness or the lower consciousness. We're not taught about our own energy, which goes in and out, flows in and out based on your thoughts. Your thoughts are energy. So in your mind, you've got several things. You've got a third eye, a door to the universe that is unfiltered. You've got your heart, which is actually the connection, if you will, the source, the piece of source that you are, that is loving, that is able to create anything. And the high heart is where you go through your own private little space of the universe, where it is filtered. It's filtered through you. The stars play a heavy role. The planets play a heavy role. For example, me being a Taurus with certain houses and certain planets are kind of going to give me an idea of what I'm working through in this lifetime. What issues, what attributes, pluses, minuses. Then we have to understand we have universal laws, not just what God's laws would be very simple compared to universal laws, but it's cause and effect. It's manifesting. It's all these things that we weren't taught. So we're fighting against the tide many times when we're in such a negative state or a lower state of mind, our lower mind, which is the earth mind, which is like the five senses. You only hear, feel, taste, smell, touch, whatever you see, but not go beyond that. And unfortunately, we are all that and more. The body is the vehicle in which we navigate what we want to learn, which can only be done through emotions. I won't say only, spiritually it can be done, but a lot of times we want to come down to earth to experience the emotional side of things so that we can process things that we want to learn, our soul wants to learn, so that we can ascend. It's a big school, and we weren't given the proper books, we weren't given the proper information in order for us to glide through this existence. We live through the lower emotions, shame, blame, guilt. And if you have any kind of trauma, that's going to add a layer to everything. We have karma, which is something that we've built up over years of not solving these problems properly. We go into our dark side when we feel like we can't take responsibility for the things that we need to. So sometimes we blame dark entities, and we are light and dark, so we can't really say that. We attract what we want to do or be in this lifetime. We just don't believe we have the power to do it until we go through these layers, and we go through a lot of pain to learn. Unfortunately, that seems to be the biggest teacher, is pain, sadly. But it's the thing that sticks the most, and it's the thing that your body has the mechanisms to release emotion, which starts you back at zero on a certain issue. So I put up there personality archetypes are kind of like the things that you'll behave like in order to learn a certain thing. So a personality is not the same as your spirit, because I've known people who've had difficult personalities and had a glowing, glowing bright light, because we're playing roles and we're picking these things, and then we're getting assistance from the other side, but we're not always open to that. When I was a child, I remember saying I had one eye open because I was very connected with the other side, but it's almost like I'd have to have a lot of disconnection in order to get through these issues, in order to understand them. So when I'm making these videos, I'm doing it in a dimensional type of way. A lot of times I may sound down, and I am for that moment in time, because I'm struggling through another low, and I'm trying to evaluate and be self-aware of that low and take responsibility for it and say, okay, what am I learning from this? Where am I going from here? Sometimes I don't have the answer because my head is spinning in a million directions with all these different things. And that is part of what I chose to do this mission, because then maybe I could help others do the same, because a lot of us have influences from either, childhood things, metals, heavy metals, toxins, birth, just being born this way. ADHD people, for example, tend to be very empathic, tend to have a certain type to them where they're very healing and very open to spiritualness. Whether you've come as an empath to help the world, or whether you've just come to work on your own stuff, feeling self-awareness, being responsible for yourself, going inward when it seems impossible from this busy world, listening, being still, have always been some of my challenges. And I know right now it's in the world too. The goal is to rise above it all, is to be who we're meant to be. It will be harder for my fellow empaths, yes. And I've seen so many fall down, get lost, get sucked up by numbing themselves, getting caught up in this reality. But we are part of one consciousness, and we are connected to one another, so we're never alone. When you make it through a really rough patch, you've done the work for many, many people, and many are doing the same for you as well. Don't give up. We were chosen to be here now. So buck up, warriors. Let's do this.